Hey guys, Pete Scalia here. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia today for the Arthritis Foundation's national annual meeting. It's their Conference of Champions, and tonight I'm going to be emceeing their Evening of Honors. It's really an inspirational night. People from all across the country come together tonight to be recognized for their research and creating awareness about arthritis and making lives better for the millions of people who live with it, just like me, in our country. So I'm looking forward to all those inspiring stories tonight. I know many of you might not know why I'm so involved with the Arthritis Foundation, and I wanted to just take a minute and share my personal story with you in case you're unfamiliar with it. I was diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis when I was about 30 years old, and had some pains that actually started in my shoulders, but really in my feet. Woke up one morning and my feet hurt so bad that I fell back on the bed and knew something was wrong. Took a while to get that proper diagnosis, as it does sometimes, but we ended up hitting my disease hard because mine was pretty strong. It was coming on fast, and we found a pretty good cocktail of drugs that worked, but they were pretty powerful drugs. At the time, I was on a drug called methotrexate, another one called leflunomide or Areva, and then weekly biologic injections. A lot of biologic drugs out there that have done a lot of good for people with rheumatoid arthritis. And I had my symptoms under control pretty much for almost 8 years. And then when Amy and I moved to Columbus and decided we wanted to look into starting a family, I needed to get off of these medications because they aren't so great if you're looking to conceive, even on the guy side of things. So in order to do that, I stopped taking my medications and was on a steroid called prednisone for about 8 or 9 months or so before we started trying. And we thought that we were in the clear. Amy did get pregnant, but unfortunately, the night before we were due to go hear the baby's first heartbeat on a sonogram, we had a miscarriage. So it was kind of like back to the drawing board, but unfortunately my body was starting to show signs of my disease. I kept needing more and more of the prednisone to ward off the symptoms. And this continued for probably about another year. So for almost 2 years, I was off my medications that were keeping my RA at bay. And because of all of the increased amounts of prednisone that I was taking, my face started swelling up. Maybe some of you that used to watch me on the other station noticed that, the weight gain that I had, and certainly a problem when you work in TV. But in addition to that, the real problem was that my mobility was severely affected. And we kept trying to conceive, and it got to the point where I literally was having crew members meet me at my car in the morning with a wheelchair, and they would bring me in to the set in a wheelchair every morning because I couldn't walk from my car to the anchor desk. And we kind of called uncle at that point. We were approved for in vitro fertilization and started going through that process. And thankfully, after our first round, it took, and Amy became pregnant. And in that time, as sort of a crossover period there, is when I was able to go in. I was able to try to start taking some medications again while Amy was pregnant. Once we knew she was pregnant, I knew I also had to go in. I had started seeing a rheumatologist in Columbus, and she noticed through x-rays that pretty much most, if not all, of the cartilage in my hips and my knees was completely eroded, which explained why I couldn't walk. And so I was able to get in right away for bilateral hip replacement surgery. And some of you might remember I had both of my hips replaced in December of 2013. And after that was done, we had our first baby, Lola, who, we were so incredibly over the moon excited to have our first child. And I remember sharing that moment with all of you on TV and online. And but I knew that there was still a lot to be done. I knew that I was still having trouble with mobility. My knees were next. And it was very frustrating because in this process, I was trying different biologic drugs. The drugs that I took before we tried to conceive didn't work anymore. So you have to give these drugs about 90 days to work to see if they have any effect on your RA. And none of the drugs that I tried did. So every 90 days I was trying another one, hoping for the best. In the meantime, knowing that I also still needed to have both knees replaced. So 14 months after my hip replacement surgery, I had both knees replaced at the same time. And anyone who's ever had knee replacement at all can tell you it is not a fun party. And having both done at the same time, it at least provided an opportunity for me to binge watch a bunch of shows that I hadn't seen before. So that was kind of the good thing about being laid up for a couple of months. But I was determined, and it was really, really a tough time for me, kind of a dark time. And when you're laying there and you have that limited mobility, and I had my baby girl in the other room that I couldn't get up to go see. And that was very frustrating. And one day I was determined. I had my walker next to the bed, and I forced myself up, and I went into the other room because I was tired of people bringing the baby to me. I wanted to get up, and I was determined to get into that other room and see her for myself, and I did. And we got some pictures of that, which was kind of a special moment for our family. So finally, my rheumatologist said, look, I got this silver bullet. I have this other biologic that we haven't tried yet. Let's give it a shot. And I did my first infusion of Rituxan and wasn't sure what was happening with it. I got another round 2 weeks later, and I finally started to notice a little bit of a difference. So at this point, I had all those joints replaced. The biologics started working. And we were surprised with news that Amy was pregnant again with our second, with Sophia, which overcoming infertility issues, PCOS on my wife's side, and then all of the issues with me going through IVF. It was amazing. We couldn't believe we were going to have another little girl. So Sophia came along. But then, about a year and a half later, total surprise, our son Nico came along, which was pretty exciting. And even though I still have to correct some things with my feet and have some surgeries done on my feet, I like to say that Amy told me no matter what other procedures you need to get done, there's one you're getting done before you come anywhere near me. So took care of that, and we are blessed with 3 beautiful babies now. And I've felt that working in television, that I have a responsibility, and not just a right, but a responsibility to inform people about arthritis and how it affects so many people, that age doesn't matter. It used to be thought, people would think, there was this stigma attached with arthritis that it only affects old people, and that's not the case. Whether it's osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, other autoimmune diseases like lupus, we're all sort of in the same boat. And some of the researchers that are in the crowd tonight, it's so inspiring to see the work that they are doing to make a difference, researching at the cellular and molecular level what makes our bodies do what it does. And they're making strides, thanks in no small part to the people that we're going to be seeing here tonight. So I just wanted to get you guys up to speed. And again, if you are already familiar with my story, and I know many of you on here are, thank you so much for following along. It's been a heck of a journey so far, and I am blessed to be here with some people from around the country who are making a difference. And I want you, no matter what it is you're dealing with in your life, there will be times that maybe it seems impossible, that it seems tough, that you want to give up. Please, for me, for yourself, never give up. There are so many times that we hear the word no when you live with a debilitating disease like arthritis, and it might feel like you can't do something, but we live yes. That's the hashtag we're using at the conference this weekend. And if any of you are attending, I hope to see you. Make sure you use that hashtag We Live Yes, and also never give up, my friends. And thank you so much for your support. I look forward to sharing some pictures and video from the event with you a little bit later on. Have a good one.